Hello, everyone. Welcome to week 4. This week we're going to talk about organizational socialization. Um, so, what is organizational socialization and why is it important? Organizational socialization is the process that people, normally new employees, it's the process how they learn the necessary skills, values, and expected behaviors associated with their given job. Okay, it works to prepare and mold employees, imparts the requisite knowledge on them so they can successfully complete tasks. Essentially, it's learning the job and learning how the organization expects you to act. Okay. One of the main reasons for socialization is to reduce uncertainty, right? You first start a job, you don't know exactly how you're supposed to act, you don't know exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Well, organizational socialization takes care of that for you. In recent times, organizational socialization has had a real pretty negative connotation to it. Um, so, obviously, the one they always talk about is police officer socialization. Socialization processes are often blamed for deficiencies identified with particular officers. Now, obviously, socialization could be negative if someone's socialized into a culture of corruption or socialized into negative behaviors. But socialization itself is not necessarily a negative process. If you think about, step away from organizations for a minute, we are constantly socialized in pretty much every environment that we go into. Okay, so why do students behave a certain way at school? Why do you act differently in different circumstances? It's because we've been socialized to act in a certain way based on the expected behaviors of whatever environment we are in, right? You're not going to act the same at a ball game as you're going to act at church, right? Two different environments, and you're socialized to act differently in those two different environments. So it's pretty much the same with organizational socialization. Okay. So also a word you're going to hear a lot associated with socialization is culture or organizational culture. Oftentimes you'll hear them used interchangeably, and they shouldn't be. Even though they're related, they're not the same thing. So socialization is actually the process through which a newcomer learns the organizational culture, either through formal socialization or informal socialization. So there's several steps or stages in the socialization process. The first one is anticipatory socialization. So anticipatory socialization occurs before anyone even enters a new organization or assumes a new role within the organization. So this stage is essentially when someone learns about the potential career and then makes an occupational choice to enter into that particular field or career. And during this time, remember, this is the whole time before they actually enter the job. There's all kinds of different influences that have on people at these times. Stuff like parents, peers, possible recruiters, TV programs that they're watching, media, whether it's television media or online media. All those things influence people's perceptions of a given career. So at this stage, it's not only deciding what career to go, but then what kind of organization do I want to pursue with this career? So if we talk about a law enforcement career, okay, you may have this anticipatory socialization of, okay, I want to be in law enforcement, right? I've learned about it, whatever, I think that's for me. Well, now you have to make the decision. Do you want a municipal department? Do you want a sheriff's office? Do you want a state level department? Do you want a federal agency? Right? Which type of organization then do you want to pursue this career path? And anticipatory socialization plays a big role in that too. So this stage is very important because if inaccurate information is gained, it can lead to problems down the road. Like if someone doesn't understand that a police career is just not nonstop high-speed chases, foot pursuits, nonstop arresting murderers on a daily basis, which is what you would learn if all you ever did was watch television shows. When they got hired as a police officer, they would quickly learn that that's not what happens during the normal everyday duties of a patrol officer. It can, right? But not every day are you going to get into all those types of events. And that can lead to quickly to dissatisfaction with a career and to early exit from those careers. So once someone actually enters into the organization, they're going to be exposed to a variety of socialization strategies. All right, the first is there's collective socialization, individual socialization. Okay, collective socialization refers to a group of people entering together or transitioning together, right? A group of people moving as one. All right, and this strategy, it's used to promote cohesiveness among the group as they're socialized into the organization. If you want a great example of this, it's a police academy. Okay, a police academy is a great example of collective socialization. But then once officers leave the academy, or recruits leave the academy, then individual socialization starts to happen. When they enter into the field training stage with their individual field training officer, it would then transition into a period of individual socialization rather than collective socialization. So then you have formal versus informal socialization. So formal socialization is essentially socialization where new recruits are socialized separately from other organizational members and are exposed to the organization's view of what their beliefs, their values, and behaviors should be. Okay, the police academy is also a great example of formal socialization. Okay, it's most often organizationally directed and controlled. Okay, informal socialization happens outside of the formal processes. Right, this is more of an officer learning the ropes from a more experienced officer in their district. Okay, that'd be a good example of informal socialization. Now, there's nothing wrong inherently with informal socialization, but you can obviously, think about how that can become problematic for an organization if what the new recruit is learning goes against the organization's mission or their goals or their procedures. Right? If they get hooked up with the wrong, more experienced officer, that can certainly lead to problems not only for the new recruit but also for the organization. So we also have sequential versus random socialization. Sequential socialization is what it sounds like. Okay, it's when recruits have to complete a sequence of stages, and they have to be completed in a certain order. Okay, we'll stick with policing here. Okay, so the whole process of policing. First, you have the process of just making it through the process to get hired. All right, so then you enter the academy. Then you go to field training. Then you're assigned to a district. Right? They can't go straight to field training. They have to go to the academy first. Okay? They don't get assigned to a district before they go to the academy. Right? So there's a sequence of stages they have to go through. They can't jump around or skip stages. Random socialization is just socialization that occurs without really an organized plan or kind of haphazardly. All right, fixed versus variable socialization. Fixed socialization means that there's a set amount of time allotted to the process, to a part of the process. So, for example, police academies are fixed at a certain number of hours. Now, different academies can have different number of hours, but all of them are fixed. Nobody starts an academy where they're like, well, we're not sure how many hours it's going to be. We'll let you know. No, there's a fixed number of hours that academy is going to be. It could be 1,000 hours, it could be 480, whatever it is. It's a fixed number of hours, and that would be an example of fixed socialization. Variable socialization means that the time is not clearly delineated. So the example the book uses is, if you want to get promoted as a sergeant, a sergeant would have to wait 3 years before being promoted. Well, it doesn't mean every person that hits the 3-year mark gets promoted to be a sergeant. Okay, it might take someone 5 years, it might take someone 10 years. Right? It doesn't mean you hit 3 years and bam, you're a sergeant. Okay? That's just a suggested time. Okay? So it's variable. Some people do get promoted to 3 years, but sometimes not. All right? So we have serial versus disjunctive socialization. Serial socialization just simply means that they're learning from people who are already in whatever role they're trying to assume. So sticking with policing again, police recruits learn from police educators who are more often than not police officers, right? Police academies are generally taught by police officers. So that's what they're learning from the academy, and then they go into the field, they're learning from field training officers who are obviously officers. All right, so that's serial socialization, where the recruits are learning from people that are already in that organization, already in that role that they're wanting to assume. Because of this, it's easy to pass on prior organizational practices from one group to the next. However, it can get tricky though if you're trying to change something, right? If you're trying to enact change and you have serial socialization, it can make it more difficult if you're trying to start the change with the new recruits. And then if you have disjunctive socialization, that means that group members or new recruits are learning from people outside the organization or outside the group. This would be having consultants come in and do some training from academics, anybody you could think of that would come in and do some kind of training or some kind of learning with officers or someone in the group would be disjunctive as long as it's from outside the actual organization. All right, now finally we have investiture versus divestiture strategies. Investiture strategies recognize knowledge that individuals bring with them into the organization. So for example, lawyers coming into a law firm, right? They don't have to teach them all about the law when they get there. They recognize they go into law school, they got a degree, they should know the law, right? We don't have to train them in that, or we don't have to socialize them in, what the law is. Now, divestiture strategies are the exact opposite. Divestiture strategies hope to strip away someone's individualism and then bind them to the organization and have them become accepted members of the organization that way. Okay, so divestiture strategies don't acknowledge knowledge that people bring with them into the organization. In divestiture strategies, they're like, we're going to strip away all of that, and we're going to teach you what we want you to be and what we want you to believe, and that's going to bind you to the organization and have you become an accepted member of the organization. So that's about all I've got for this week. The articles at the end of the chapter are really good. They do a great job talking about some of the different socialization strategies. So make sure you read those 2 chapters and do the discussion board, and I will see you next week. As always, let me know if you have questions.